Young and the Restless. Kyle-Clair breakup and 2 hot new romances. Right now, Kyle is trying everything he can to prove himself to Claire and fight for their relationship. However, his parents, Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, and Diane Jenkins, Susan Walters, and Claire's mom, Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley, all advised Kyle to take a step back and let Claire process. They told Kyle not to push so much. Claire definitely thinks Kyle is trying too hard. He wants so desperately to fix everything and get back to the way they were. At every turn, Kyle is just coming on too strong, and he is making things worse by the day. Claire seems ready to move past this first relationship of her life and try something else. However, she's not a cruel person, and she doesn't want to hurt Kyle. This week, Claire opens up to her mom Victoria, and says she just doesn't think she can get past what Kyle did. One mistake after another for Kyle on YNR. First, there was him kissing Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, and lying about it. Plus, Claire still doesn't know how far that kiss went. It was wildly across the line. Then, Kyle proposed to Claire, thinking that would fix things. On top of that, Kyle didn't tell her about his $5 million deal he made with Victor Newman, Eric Braeden. So, it's not surprising when Claire actually says to Victoria she just wants to run away from Kyle. Claire says being with Kyle doesn't make her feel good anymore. On top of that, Claire also admitted to Victoria that somebody else has gotten her attention. Claire has been getting closer to Holden Novak, Nathan Owens, who is obviously smitten with her. Young and the Restless. Claire's got her eye on Holden. This week, while Claire's talking with Victoria at Society, we're going to see Holden at the bar, and she's checking him out. Claire tells Victoria that maybe she shouldn't be in a really serious relationship right now because, if you remember, Kyle was Claire's first relationship. He was the first guy that she'd ever dated. Claire gave Kyle her V-card. He's been her first everything. First love, first making love, first boyfriend, all of that. But at the same time, Claire isn't ready to be tied down. So Kyle proposing might have been an even worse move than he realized when he did it. Claire tells Victoria that maybe she needs to live a little before settling down and committing to one person for the rest of her life. Claire says maybe she needs more experience, all the time while she's eyeballing hunky Holden. Young and the Restless. Claire calls it quits? So, I suspect Claire may soon tell Kyle that she wants to break up. Claire asked for room to breathe, and Kyle wouldn't give it. So, I think Claire may force Kyle to give her some space by dumping him, at least for now. Claire may tell Kyle, "Look, I'm going to call a timeout. This is a breakup, and we'll see if there's the chance later that we make up." And then Claire might start hanging out with Holden more. In fact, Holden already invited Claire to go to LA with him. That was when she was just telling him how stressed she is and that Kyle keeps pushing. She told Holden no because she thinks it will make things worse with Kyle. But then, at the same time, Claire was acting a little disappointed that Holden kind of wasn't trying to pick her up. So, after she talks to Victoria, Claire seems to have a better idea of what she wants and who she wants. And it's not Kyle. Claire might actually follow Holden to LA and maybe surprise him there. Especially if Kyle doesn't back off and continues to suffocate her. We know Holden is crazy about Claire. And even better, he seems to hate Audra right now. If you remember, when he first came to town, Holden definitely was still into Audra. But now he seems to only have eyes for Claire. The only thing Holden wants from Audra is to make sure she stays far away from Claire. So, yeah, I think Holden is the clear rebound choice for Claire and I think it might be coming soon. Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles. A fiery encounter and potential for hatements. As for Kyle, this week he sees Audra at the Jazz Lounge with Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, and things get really nasty between them. Audra and Kyle are pretty much spitting fire at each other. They are trading insults. They're getting a little loud. Sally tries to calm things down because they're making a scene, and people are staring. This exchange between Audra and Kyle has so much heat. It could be a whole hatements, an enemies to lovers thing. You know, on soaps in general, arguing can always lead to the bedroom. So, I can totally see Kyle and Audra secretly having some spicy hate sex. If Kyle and Audra are not in public the next time they bicker, like if they're in one of the hallways over the GCAC or something, their anger could turn to passion. There is a thin line between love and hate, as they say. If Claire does indeed break up with Kyle, he'll be very upset, and he might even go confront Audra. The accusations could turn to some spicy bedroom action. Kyle and Audra surprise themselves and each other? If Kyle does end up rebounding with Audra, I would expect it to start out purely physical and also totally in secret, like a very dirty secret. But later, you never know, Audra and Kyle might end up catching feelings for each other. I do suspect deep down that Kyle and Audra have some sort of feelings for each other. But I think their pride, their arrogance, and their need for revenge and control got in the way of any potential they might have had together. So if Claire bails on Kyle, that'll leave him and Audra both single. I think Young and the Restless might be setting the stage for them to reconnect. If so, and Claire finds out they're hitting the sheets, I think that would be the end of it. She would never ever consider taking Kyle back, at least not for a minute or two. When they say, never ever on a soap, maybe that's 6 months to a year. Holden's devotion and Claire's potential future. I'm quite certain that Holden will be more than happy to wipe away Claire's tears and love her, however much Claire will let him. Holden is a totally smitten kitten for Claire. I do think he would respect her boundaries because he wants her so much. If she says, this is going to be casual, I'm going to make decisions. I'll let you know if I want it more serious. I think Holden would be okay. Okay. Whatever you say, sweetheart. As long as you're seeing me, I'm happy. If Claire sees Kyle moving on with Audra, I definitely think Claire would feel justified in whatever she decides to do with Holden. Because if Kyle and Audra did give in and do the hate sex thing, you know that Audra would run and make sure that Claire knew about it right after it happened. Just so she would never give Kyle Genoa City are never quiet. Not when hearts are on the line and secrets spill faster than champagne at society. Just when viewers thought Kyle Abbott had finally found a steady rhythm in his love life with Claire Grace, the soap gods have decided to pull the rug out from under him. Yes, Kyle and Claire are on the verge of a breakup. But in true Young and the Restless fashion, heartbreak doesn't linger without stirring up fresh passion. 2 sizzling new romances are already brewing in the shadows, and they promise to flip the canvas upside down. Kyle and Claire. Love interrupted. When Kyle first fell into Claire's orbit, it was a match no one predicted. Claire, trying to rebuild her life and earn trust after her complicated family history, found solace in Kyle's own brand of complicated. Their relationship started with a mix of sparks and skepticism, and fans warmed to the idea that maybe, just maybe, Claire was the breath of fresh air Kyle needed after the never-ending roller coaster with Summer Newman. But lately, things haven't been easy. Claire's insecurities, rooted in her past with Jordan and the relentless whisperings about whether she can truly change, have started to creep into her romance. Kyle, meanwhile, has been juggling his role as a father to Harrison, his never-ending Abbott family dramas, and his career moves at Jabot. The breaking point? A heated argument about Harrison. Claire adores the little boy, but Kyle's protective instincts keep him second-guessing her involvement. The tension explodes when Summer, ever the wild card, hints that Claire is trying too hard to win Harrison's affection. Kyle finds himself torn. Does he defend Claire, or does he admit that Summer's words struck a chord? The fallout is painful but inevitable. Claire, feeling judged and unwanted, pulls back. Kyle, too stubborn to bend, tells himself that maybe they're simply not meant to last. The end isn't fiery. It's bittersweet. A quiet parting that leaves both of them aching but resigned. Romance number 1. Kyle and Audra. Of course, Kyle Abbott doesn't stay single for long. Enter Audra Charles. Ambitious, cunning, and utterly magnetic. Their flirtation has always bubbled beneath the surface, and with Kyle newly single, the chemistry is impossible to ignore. Audra thrives in high-stakes games, and Kyle is exactly the kind of partner she finds irresistible. Powerful, restless, and just wounded enough to crave distraction. Their first spark ignites over business. A late-night strategy session at Glissade leads to laughter, a little too much wine, and one of those long lingering looks that viewers recognize as trouble with a capital T. Audra leans in first, whispering, "Why waste time on people who don't see your worth?" That line is enough to melt Kyle's resistance. By the next morning, Genoa City is buzzing. Kyle and Audra are a thing. But is it love? Or just 2 lonely hearts feeding off ambition and desire? Either way, the pairing promises fireworks. Jack Abbott will frown. Nikki Newman will roll her eyes. And Summer? Oh, she'll be livid. Romance number 2. Claire and Chance. While Kyle's rebound fling heats up, Claire won't be left crying in the shadows. Chance Chancellor has been navigating his own stormy seas of late. After the collapse of his romance with Sharon, Chance has been searching for someone who understands what it means to rebuild a life. And who better than Claire, a woman who's practically living that story every day. Their connection begins unexpectedly. Chance spots Claire at Crimson Lights, looking lost in thought. Instead of avoiding her, he sits down and offers a kind smile. One conversation turns into two, then into regular meetups where they swap stories about second chances and forgiveness. What starts as friendship soon deepens. Chance admires Claire's resilience, while Claire feels safe in his steady, calming presence. When he defends her against whispers that she can't be trusted, Claire sees him as the first man to truly believe in her since she returned to Genoa City. Their first kiss is tender, unhurried. It's not about sparks flying, but about finding comfort and hope. And though the pairing may surprise some fans, it's exactly the kind of grounded romance Claire needs to finally put her past behind her. The domino effect in Genoa City. Of course, no romance exists in a vacuum in Genoa City. Kyle's entanglement with Audra sets off alarms across town. Summer, jealous but unwilling to admit it, lashes out, claiming Kyle is putting Harrison at risk by bringing a schemer like Audra into his world. Jack and Diane, too, raise eyebrows, warning Kyle that Audra's loyalties shift with the wind. Kyle shrugs it all off, until he notices that Audra's ambition sometimes overshadows her affection. Is he being used as a stepping stone? The possibility gnaws at him, though the passion between them keeps pulling him back in. Meanwhile, Claire and Chance's budding relationship faces its own hurdles. Abby, protective of her cousin, questions whether Chance is moving too fast after Sharon. Sharon, ever the wise voice, doesn't stir drama but subtly warns Chance about rushing headfirst into a new romance. And Victoria? She watches closely, torn between supporting Claire's happiness and fearing her fragile cousin might get hurt all over again. But as the weeks unfold, the lines are drawn. Kyle and Audra blazing hot, possibly toxic. Claire and Chance steady, surprising, and maybe exactly what both need.